Rack 30, Nick Rack's on 30-20. Will he lead?
It's the anthem for the champions. Steady bench, you can in the gym. Welcome to the show. We going for the gold. Ready, let the countdown begin. Yeah, I can't get it wet. Gotta let 'em know I'm about to be the goat.
The song identified with the start of the DEKA Revolution right here. And that's just how it is.
run. I'll run some, but
no, I would not recommend it, man.
like I'll definitely run the whole last 500 with him. I'll commit to that for you.
Well, and here's the thing too, man. If you want, this is what I do. The last person was filming right here, and I was back there. And then when the elites caught up, I ran that first 500 with them. So I mean, we could do that. I mean, we could trade off. Yeah, it makes it better. I'm gonna run a little bit. It warms me up a little bit, but
I mean,
I'm
honestly,
not gonna run the whole
we
thing.
could cover it all by each one of us being at a lane, and then one person being at the station, and then another person can come into the station.
Into the station. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to get everyone's... So I say we get everyone, because I think that's going to be the best way, because then we don't even have to run. You can do that, follow, and then the person closest to that station follows them into that station.
Okay. So kind of like maybe...
Yeah, so you can literally... Right here, coming in, you have someone over there coming in.
I like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if...
He's right here, let's just get her and...
Tell John. Okay, so I guess in the back corner then.
Yeah.
And then just kind of follow them over. And we just kind of trade off.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah. So what we were saying is we think we can do this. Since there's 4 of us, we can get this without really having to run much. Like have it be here, get them in, the next person will be up there, get them coming too, and then 2 people follow into the zone, the other 2 get set up for the next run. Okay. I think that'd be a way to...
happening?
So since there's 4 of us, we can all be at like a straightaway, one person be in the next station, and we won't even have to run. You can get the entire run without having to run. Okay. I was gonna plan on running the last full 500.
And you're hearing right now some of the athletes are just sorting out on.
Yeah, I prefer to not do that run.
Yeah, they're just sorting out their transitions. They're sorting out the logistics, making sure everybody knows where the turns are, where the stations are on that. In some cases for DEKA FIT, you'll have a chance where people will predetermine which stations they have. So they'll have a chance to pick their rower, pick their bike, pick their box, and so it'll cut down on the chaos of transition. Sometimes that they don't do that, and it works. It works as a free-for-all.
I'll be right here, and I'll get them. I'll follow them a little bit from here, and then you and him can be at station 1, and we can get set up for the next run.
It's got to be. I think it's in that back corner.
Yeah, no, it's no problem. No problem. Yeah. So, so we're just getting a chance here before it gets started to just talk a little bit about how the race is set up, how it flows, how it works. All the stations set up 1 through 10 on the inside. They're clearly labeled. And you're rewarded for getting in and out of the station faster. So first into the station gets to choose their apparatus location. There's stuff that's closer to the doors, which gives you faster entrance and exit and less traffic. And then the later you arrive to the station, the more you have to weed through traffic to get to your machine, the longer your transition is. These aren't huge challenges. They might equal 5, 6, 7 seconds, but over the course of 10 stations, as you can see, that might lead to a minute's worth of transition time that other athletes might not get. So it really favors a fast start, getting into the stations quickly. Now, the big race really starts to transform. The big racing really starts to transform towards the later part of the race. What you'll hear veterans say is it all comes down to the bike, which is station 7. If you've been paying the price, as the equipment gets heavier and stiffer, as you have to push more and carry more, it's really taxing. So if you've gone out too hard, if you're already at your limit, if you're not throttling just under the top of your limit, you're going to get blown up, and big transformations happen later in the race. And again, it goes from very high agility, very high speed, to higher and higher strength as it goes. And so that's part of the excitement of it, is you're trying to bank on where it is. If you're not as strong of an athlete, do you want to get a hot start so you can get in and out of the stations quickly and give yourself the ability to kind of grind down later and still be in it, and it's okay if people catch up? Or do you, if you're a stronger athlete, do you want to bide your time? So right now it looks like we're starting to get some call-ups for the men's race on this. Awesome. And we'll turn this over and just see if we can hear what those call-ups are for right now. And these guys, and Joshua and Mark,
Representing a DEKA affiliate gym, Underdog Fitness makes them from Amsterdam, New York. Makes a noise for Joshua Gonzalez.
Joshua Gonzalez has 33-32 this year. He's real competitive.
Also,
they're going to have their hands full against Nick.
also representing a DEKA affiliate gym, Bold Fitness from Waller, Texas, Brandon.
Brandon's got a 35-42 DEKA Fit, so he's a strong local
From West Palm Beach, Florida, makes a noise for Garrett Mitchell.
Garrett Mitchell's sub 35, very respectable. Probably looks up
From Oklahoma City, makes a noise for Jeff Hamlet.
34-21 for Jeff.
From Cookville, Tennessee, let's hear it for Colin Sniper. Representing JDB Fitness from BB, Arkansas, Justin Dorothy. All right, everybody make some noise for our first wave of elite males in the start line area.
All right.
Dang it, how many are wrong with those guys?
So we're ready to roll here. It's got a pretty solid field with a lot of world champ qualifiers. It's the second race of the series. It's a great chance to post a huge mark on this. And for some of these guys, it's going to be the first chance to bang head to head.
We are certainly going to be celebrating all things fitness this Saturday. It is time for us to honor those who protect our honor, our homeland and heritage by playing the national anthem. And then we shall get this party started.
And really, I think what we're going to be looking for today is, I think a guy like Nick Wright, I think you're really going to look for Nick to go out and try to run his own race and really set the tone. And I don't think he's going to worry a lot about the field around him today. I think he's really just going to set out to try to put in a really big mark that's going to secure him for this. Again, not everybody needs to run every race in the series to qualify for the World Championships. But of course, going head to head against top competition is the best way to go fast. I think we got a national anthem going on right now, so I think I'll pause for that. So we're going to get a countdown here for these guys to roll off.
Tennessee, let me hear you make some noise!
And Did
We are ready to get this party started right here in the DEKA FIT Arena. And I want to ask all the rest of my elite males and females in the wall area, please stay in there, and then you will be called up into the start line square as well. All right. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the DEKA FIT Arena. This is the decathlon of functional fitness, where all levels of fitness can come together on the same day and in the same arena to celebrate fitness. Today is the day you will earn your mark. So let's make it happen. When I say DEKA, you say fit. DEKA, DEKA, DEKA. Let's go!
all right? Here we are. Looks like this
And
is
our first wave of elite males are on course.
Again, it's about a half hour event, a little over a half hour event. So you're kind of running this at 8K pace, 8K effort, but you're rewarded for a hard start, 500 meters into these lunge. The whole piece, 500 meters into the lunges and out, pretty crisp. Look like Nick is obviously just going to set that pace. And a lot of people, look, the whole field is basically surrounded around Nick, knowing that he's the dude on this. And you just, I think for the guys that are already qualifiers on this, they just want to get into this first station so they're not battling too much traffic. I think for the guys that are closer to 35 minutes and they know they're not going to be super deep and fast, they're just going to try to get in and treat this whole thing as a K. You're basically treating the whole thing as an opening mile. The lunges are really just an extension of the run. They're the same pace. It's a lightweight. So you're just going to look to get in, get settled as if you were running a, you know, your 5 mile, you know, like a 5 mile foot race. And you know there's a lot of work. And basically the tank and the bike and the carries make it like an 8K run with a huge hill at the end, right? So you know there's going to be a lot of transformation going on in there. So let's see where they're at on pace so far. We're getting a chance to walk through and check out some of the zones as we're seeing these guys come around. Yeah, and you have some early athletes that are really, yeah, that looks like there's someone setting out aggressively, and Nick's not going to let him get too far away on this. Still in a pack. You're just rewarded for your early positioning. If you have people that are feeling good and crisp, they're just going to really start to pour it on and try to get in and out of these stations. There's not a lot of penalties. So here's how we are in these first pieces. You got to bang out 30 of these. You can rack it on your back. The key is you have to have full knee lock and full hip extension on these. And it seems like there's still, I think in the DEKA universe on this, there's still some, when it comes to the actual movement quality standards, there's a little bit of forgiveness around these things as long as the intention of the movement is there. It doesn't seem like they know rep really, but the technicality is that you want to be locked out in both knee and that. You just can't jump through it. I think these are super fast. I don't think these are taxing at all. It just starts to scramble the system, and look at that. Nick's already out and on his way, and the field's still really connected to him on that. I don't see a lot of separation in this early portion. Again, it's just like the opening mile of an 8K. You can recover if you go out too hot, or you're rewarded if you can get on a good pace early. And then if you look at those opening transitions on that, yeah, 40 seconds to 45 seconds in and out. At the top level, you barely notice this. We're going to get into the first piece of this after 500-meter run on this. You're going to get into the first piece where you're going to hit a row on this. And the row is the first time you're going to start to feel some power on this, and you're going to start to detect miss systems on that. You're going to start to bring in some more heavy upper body. The row is still like primarily a leg movement, and it's basically like an explosive deadlift that you pull in on this. So a lot of the athletes can still get into this. You only have about maybe 5 minutes or so of work as you're getting into it. So you're still just feeling it. If you've really, really overcooked it, you'll start to get a little redlined on the rower. But most of these guys are fit enough that they'll be able to throttle it to the right direction. And we're about 3:30 into this, so quite a ways to go. People are already starting to think ahead to what they want to do. They already have some numbers set in their mind on what they want to pull on a row like this. Just a little fragmentation on the back of the field here, but I suspect that there's going to be a group of 4 or 5 all the way up to the bike on this, because you have so many qualifiers and guys that are under 35. If you're willing to push for a faster time and you're looking to get under 33, you're going to queue off a champs like Nick and try to get, you're going to really try to follow him and stick with him as long as you can. You're getting just a little separation, but That's not going to be super huge. And this is your pocket of, this is your pocket of guys that is all in the sub 35, and fitness is just going to sort itself out. So here's what you want on the rower on this. You want a low stroke rate. These guys are going to be pulling, it's only 500-meter row, so the top guys are going to pull under a pace under under 140 for this. In a really fast race, you're going to see athletes pull 135, 131, 132. I would say most very fit people, you just don't want to get too much slower than 145 pace on this. And you want a stroke rate that you're going to look for that's something in the low 30s. Bigger guys can pull longer, but you don't want to be ripping on this thing and frying yourself. You want to pull hard, and then you want to give yourself a little bit of a float. And you can see the way that Nick's doing it right up front. That's what it should mostly look like. You want to drive with the little pull. He's not super efficient. I think this sport's got a little ways to go in terms of catching up with CrossFit on how efficient people are on the ergs. But on the whole, it's come a long way, and you can see that it's a big drive with a big pull in there. Right now, it looks like the whole field is actually pretty proficient right here, and I think that you're going to see not much is going to change when people come out of this station on this. Yeah, and you're seeing everybody's measured. No one's really trying to make super huge moves on this. Looks like Nick has a little bit of an issue. Has a little flag go up, but hard to know what that is right now. So, I think, you're about 5-6 minutes into this. So now you're into the race for sure. Whatever the easy money is that you were spending up to this point, you're starting to feel it right now. And again, there it is. And those little tugs just get you in and out. And Nick's out and on his way. That's a heck of a transition that he had on that. Yeah, so he pulled 148 for that, and that includes the sitting in and getting in and out. 152 for the top two guys on this. So, okay. So this appears to be, and this is what you think it's going to be. It's going to be Austin, it's going to be Nick and Austin. You're going to assume the whole way from this. These guys are really putting it in. So if you see the transition times that they have on that 140, in the mid 140s, that means that they're pulling in the 130s for that. This is what elite athletes look like, that second pack. That's guys just under 135 in the 133 range. Those are elite athletes. They're very, very, very good. They all have a shot at qualifying for the World Championships. But you can see the top level right here with Nick and Austin off the front. They're just, their overall fitness allows them to get in, pull consistently, get off, and get right back into that run transition. And you really won't see a fitness separator for people like that until you're 15, 20 minutes into this. You still can run really hot for 10 to 15 minutes before you know if there's a red light going on. And right now, look how smooth and strong these guys look. There's no collapse in the shoulders, no collapse in the hips. They're just really fluid, really strong. And I looked, like I said, I think I would look to see that these guys, there's not going to be some big separators for a bit. I'm a little surprised it broke up early, but you see that there's a fitness gap already between Nick and Austin on this. Next up, we got a test of agility. It goes from lunges, which are agility. Row gives you a little bit of a mixed systems, agility and strength. Then it goes into two agility. It goes into the box and then into the sit-up. I think the boxes, again, so here's the thing what you're really looking for in the box moves a little, but what you're really looking for is to pivot on the top of the box. You want to get both feet have to touch and get over. There's a bit of a challenge. I actually think that Austin's more efficient on the box. You want to stay low and pivot over the top. I think that there's still a habit in DEKA FIT where guys do a rhythm bounce on this. This isn't the most efficient way on a box, but it seems like it's a habit inside DEKA FIT. You don't want to do, it's surprising still that the very top athletes still do a little rhythm bounce on it. But really the fastest way to do it is to jump to the top of the box, pivot over the top, and then set your foot down. You already have some athletes in and out of there. You can see that Nick and Austin are already gone from that. And this is, again, agility. That box is not super solid. It moves around. It's soft. These are challenging. That's a challenging thing if you're sloppy on it. But what you really want to see is that you just want to bang in and out on that. You really want to pivot as fast as you can through that thing and get out of there. And that's, again, just throwing in a little burst of agility and speed as you get going. And this second pack is still hauling. These guys are still moving really, really well. They're just a little bit of a fitness separator to that. And they're rolling really, really well right now. So I think, you know, it's still a competitive race. And again, you're not going to really get a big breakup. And I think these guys in the second pack, they really are not out of it. I think, you know, Nick is really far away. He's just fitnessing away, motoring on a pretty good time right now. He's just motoring away. You know, he's in strong, he's in the groove right now. And Austin is, you know, he's doing the same thing. Austin is rolling along, but Nick is really pushing on. He's pretty fearless facing the second half of this race. And Austin's got a little bit of a shuffle going. He's a big power athlete. It's easy to look at the differences in athletic strength on this. You know, I think, you know, all these are big dudes. You know, they're 5'10" to 6'1". They're going to be, you know, 180 to nearly 200 pounds. If you look at some of the best in the world at this, a Ryan Kent, a Hunter McIntyre, these are guys that are close to 200 pounds that can still motor at sub 6 minute pace on these types of things. So you're going to see some guy like Nick right here. He has the perfect build for this kind of sport, enough power to do it, enough speed to get it done, enough agility. And you can see how quick he's rewarded quickly for getting in on this. So right here, this is the type of move that if you have started to make some pacing mistakes, you're going to start to feel the gasp right now. You're going to start to feel it, and you're going to want to bake in some rest into your sit-ups here, where you're going to take a little pause and a little beat at the bottom to start baking in some recovery. Neither of these guys, Nick or Austin, is even thinking like that. They're just kind of smoking through it on this. So that means that they feel like they can maintain this pace, that they're throttling, and they're going to keep hustling through these agility stations on this. For most of these guys, this is not a thing. This is just a test of agility. This is not a big fitness crusher. You're just trying to find the right rhythm. And this is, again, the first time that you're going to get a sense of whether you need to recover or not at all. And that was the first little sign from Nick that he was feeling the gas on this. And again, you know, if you've gone on hot on, you know, you've been pushing above threshold on this, this is the time when you're going to start to feel that around 8 minutes on that. And if you've gone out way too hard, it's going to be a problem. So you got Nick is already busted out of there. And then you have, yeah, it looks like you have Colin Cipher is kind of be hot on his heels on that. And then you have Josh is coming out hot on that too. So, yeah, and then you have Mark coming out, and then a little bit of a lag for Austin on that. So let's see how this plays out on these things. And I may have mislabeled that. That may have been Colin and not Austin. That was hot off of Nick. So again, small difference between that, between these guys, only about 10 or 15 seconds gap difference between Nick and Colin and Josh. And I think, you know, I think that that's still doable. That's still doable later in the race because you can have complete meltdowns. You can have complete meltdowns on the bike and the tank. I don't foresee that happening from Nick. This guy is definitely hauling. He's already starting to look like that, like he's starting to lap athletes. He's already starting to lap athletes real soon here. So he's moving really, really great. And we knew this would be the story. And I think this is Colin right here. This guy is a brute. Do not pick a bar fight with this guy, you know. So I still think that he's gonna, you know, if you just look at athletic styles on this, they're both moving really well and fluid. I think Nick is just a little crisper right now. He's got a little pop off the ground. You can see he's got a nice little heel flick, and then he's into the ski. And this is where you're gonna get some. This is real easy to breathe, real easy to groove. The key that you want to see on the ski, it's a 500-meter ski. What you really want, there you go. So Nick just gets it up to speed. You want to get that flywheel up to speed. And then what you can see is that the best guys, you get a lat lock. So you get a little bit of lat lock at the top, and then you drop and let your body weight pull the flywheel down. And I believe this is Colin that came in. And this is where you're going to see some mass moves mass. So you're going to see short little flicks like that from Colin to get the wheel up to speed. And once you get the wheel up to speed, then you settle in, lock your lats, and then you really drop onto the top of it. And you're trying to give yourself a little bit of a break and pause between bigger pulls. The top guys on this are going to pull, once they get up to speed, they're going to pull 142, something like that, 141, 142. That's hauling. And so if you look at Nick, this is exemplary form, right? He locks his lats, drops down, he lets his body pull through there, and then just flicks at the end, gets back to the top. If they were really, really sprinting, they'd go all the way up on their toes. they'd go all the way up onto the top of their toes and drive. But this is getting later into the race. You're about halfway time-wise. You're getting towards the halfway mark. I would not call this the official halfway. I'd probably say where you pick up the carry is where the halfway really parts. You still have 500 meters. So you can see some guys really aggressively rowing in the back corner there. That's what it looks like. You're jumping your body weight onto the top of it. And Colin looks like he's really trying to make up some time here. I think Nick is doing what it looks like is you know, he feels in command. He feels in charge. He's at threshold right now, or maybe a little over it. He looks really in control, really powerful, big, strong stroke rate on this. You know, he's probably in the, looks like maybe in the lower 30s, maybe 33 to 35 strokes a minute. And he's really doing it. And you already look at this, Colin looks like he's starting to sprint just a bit. Yeah, neck lets it drift in and he's out of there. So that's a controlled masterclass ski pull right there. And look at that, straight into his run transition. It looks like he didn't even go through a station on that. But really, Colin put a move in to get there, and you could see how hard he was pulling on that. And I think that, yeah, he comes out 158. So these guys are hauling. You know, I think Colin had a really good station there. Look at that. Colin had a really good station and chipped back into the run. I don't think Colin's just moving as well on the run. He's just a big dude. This is what it comes down to, is you're just carrying that mass around, but you're going to put it to work on the ski erg. You can really see it on the bike. You're going to really see it on that. And Mark put in a great ski too. So the top three put in really, really strong stations on that. And I think you're going to see Mark has a 32-second DEKA Fit, you know, to his credit. So he's definitely in the conversation. And I see Nick, Colin, and Mark are really, those guys, Colin and Mark really realized they couldn't let Nick get away, and they really had to put a move on him and ski. And you just saw Colin use that brute force that he had, and he started to just yank at the cores there and get that flywheel moving. And he put back in, you know, 5-6 seconds into that, and that's going to matter a little bit on each station. I think Nick's really still moving super well here. He's moving super well. Look, you can really see it in how the foot strike is really crisp. The hips aren't collapsing. What you can really see is when the elbows are back and the elbows aren't swinging through and across the body, and you aren't getting an upper body slump. That's someone that's still driving through the glutes. And really making it happen. If you can really see behind him, there's some great running still moving on. And so I don't think he's got a free-for-all yet. So now I'd say that we're through halfway, right? You know, I would officially say that we're through halfway on this thing. And if I see what's going on here in the carry, Nick looks excellent on the carry. He's really cranking on this. And this is a strength move. There is no benefit to taking your time. You really train to shuffle on these things. You do not want to fry your grip. These are heavy dumbbells. The trick to this, for anybody that struggles on this, is you want to use a hook grip, which means that you want to put your thumb around the bar of the dumbbell, and then you want to close your fingers over the top of your thumb and use that as leverage on this to not fry that. But the way that Nick just tackled that, super pro. So for many of these guys, they're going to actually be recovering while they're hustling, and this is just a little bit of a neuro scrambler on that, where it's just asking you to break your rhythm from running, pick up something heavy and roll. And look at that. Yeah, see Colin just a little bit faster. So Colin and Mark, you know, these are bigger, stronger guys, and they're out there hustling, and they're just starting to chip on the strength side. Mark didn't quite make up when he needed to, but he did all right. Now you have the chase pack here. These are all very good athletes, sub 35 seconds, and they're all getting into the carry and moving on. Again, this is not a station where big gaps get made, or you know, where big gaps get decided. Again, if you look at the carry times all the way down to the second pack with Josh and Austin, you know, if you look at the second pack in there, their carry times are very, very similar. Just that the sheer aerobic speed and agility of the first part of this race is if you're just a great runner and you're super fit, you can go out and you are not penalized for flooring it. If you can find a way to throttle it a bit before you get to the bike, I think everybody is just settling in on the run, because the big deciders when you get to the bike. The bike does not have tension settings. This is the thing. It's a big, heavy machine, and the flywheel does not have tension settings, and it doesn't adjust for body weight at all. And so small guys got to push a big wheel, and big guys can really smash it on. And so you don't see much happening after the ski. The ski to carry to bike is kind of a zone where people are where they are. And that's where it is. And so you're seeing Josh right here rolling along. He's looking really solid. He just, you know, a little bit of a shoulder roll, a little bit of a collapse. So this is definitely a guy that's hurting on that. You already have the top guy, a guy like Nick Riker is already back on the bike, and he's really, this is the type of RPMs for a guy that's going to push big. So top guys are going to do over 800 watts on this. That's way high in the 80 RPMs. They can get off the bike in 40 seconds. And then you have Mark that came in right after that. This is where you're going to see damage, and I think Nick knows that. You just got to kind of deal. And these guys are just fixed on a number. They have a number. Woo! They are really starting to gas. Yeah, this is where it is. And you can see that if you have anything on this, you're going to make a decider. Holy crap. They're putting out a lot of watts on this. That athlete on the left-hand side is hammering. And so Nick really, your legs are like lead on the other side of this thing. And you just have to deal with the transition in the opening few meters on this. And Mark is just going to war on this air bike. Mark is just absolutely going to war on the air bike. And I think, you know, he's going to make up big ground. And I think he and Colin are probably going to come out nearly the same time. Look at that. Mark just laid it down 52 seconds to get out of there. So he was way up there in the high 800s on watts to come in and out of that. And then Colin just lost a little ground on that. And that's where the race really decides. You can think of it like a massive hill in a race. And if you have the chance to make a move, that's your time to do it. And you just saw a serious display by Mark, putting in huge damage on that. And again, if you're just trying to if you can make up 6-7 seconds of station on this towards the back half of it, that's what it's all about. You see these other athletes, they're putting in really good times on this. And I think a bit of the challenge that you're going to have on this is if you don't get that bike set up the right way, if you don't get the bike set up the right way and your seat's too low or it's too high, you're not going to be able to have the comfort level to really produce the full leg extension watts that you need. And that's going to really collapse people. So it's worth taking the time to go in, set up your seat, get on that, push hard. But right now you have Nick, Mark, and Colin are ramming ahead, and there's a clear gap, and this is definitely your podium. I mean, your podium's decided after the bike at 100%. Now it's a matter of you got to get into these wall balls, which are a test of full body agility on this. And you have to be able to just keep it together. It's not a station where you're going to win. It's not a station where you're going to make a big gap. I think that there's kind of a speed governor on how fast you can go with your wall balls on this. But if you're really tired and mentally get out of it, you can get sloppy and fall asleep and lose places. And what you're really looking for is 4 steps. 1, 2, it's got to go over the top, a little no rep there. 1, 2, 3, 4, over the top, that's 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, back over the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so now he's in a good rhythm. That means, yeah, you don't want those little hops that's inefficient, but you can see he's already got 7, 8, 9 reps over the rest of the field on this. Yeah, he's flying. And this is what you're looking for. You're just looking for maximum efficiency, and you're very rewarded for hustle. And you've kind of gotten the bike out of you already at this point. And now you have Mark and Colin have just come in, and they're looking, yeah, Colin's looking real tired on that. Yeah, these guys are looking smoked. So you see how that's where this station gets you. So you can see from Mark and Colin the difference on that. Nick is crisp and efficient. 1, 2, 3, 4, up and over. 1, 2, 3, 4, up and over, right? And he's out. And he's slow on the transition there, but, you know, I mean, deep fatigue is coming in, and he knows he's got this race won. And so maybe he's taking a second to collect himself, and he's just going to build into the run. And as his legs settle, and he's going to get back into his rhythm and try to run out on this. And he's going to try to run out. And so you have Colin and Mark. They looked really tired, to be honest. And these are excellent, excellent athletes. So you can see how hard they're going. And there's really only about maybe 6-7 minutes left in this race. 6-7 minutes left in this race, you know, total at this. And this is the first time we've really seen Nick hurting. You know, he's running great, but he's definitely now, you can see him carrying the fatigue in on this. It seems like Colin got out. So there's, like I said, there's no real changes that are going to end up happening in these wall balls between Colin and Mark on this. Man, Mark really slowed down on those wall balls. So he took a big nap on that, and man, I'm surprised to see that. Those guys looked really tired. So, and when you see in the chase group right here, these are very, very good athletes, but you can see that's what fatigue does, is you just stop hustling, and you really, really kind of are forced to take a break. And here comes Mark rolling here. And they're moving well. I would say that they're moving well. They don't look super fatigued. You're just getting a little bit of fitness separator, but I would say there's a little bit of nap that happened. I think guys that were really tired just took a bit of a nap on the balls and I think Nick stayed efficient, stayed in it, stayed mental, and it was crisp through most of it. Only had one no rep, which is a bit of a thing at a championship level, but for right now, it's not an issue. And Nick's still really rolling, and he's rolling through the back of the field. I mean, that's how fast he's going. I would say, you know, Nick is not on to a super, super fast time today, but he's still moving really well. And he's in here, and really he's setting himself up for the tank pull on this. And really, this is 10 reps of this. This is what you really want to have is do what he's doing. You want a high cadence. You don't want to muscle the sled forward. You want to have your shoulders locked in. You can occasionally lock out your arms on that. Sometimes people do that for comfort. It's actually less mechanically efficient. You kind of want to just lean your body into it and drive through the hips, but it's a big full body move. And there's two ways to pull it back. You got to push it forward and pull it back 5 times. That's 5 moves on this, 100 meters. But see the pace that he's holding here, where you're just chipping away and moving it forward. And then as you pull it back, if you're really, really tired, you can do a couple steps and then a yank and a couple steps and a yank. If you're feeling fresh and in control, you'll just chip and move at it. And then you can see, you know, Collins come in. Yeah, Collins decided to go to, you know, you see Mark came in quick, and then you can see Collins decided to go to a shoulder press. That's mechanically a little less efficient, but sometimes guys will do that just because it's more comfortable for their body. They need to shake things up or get their arms involved. And Nick really has, you know, 2-3 lengths on these guys already. Yeah, see, and there it is. So yeah, and every once in a while, Nick's just switching over where he's just going to give it a step, step, tug, step, step, tug. That's a great way to just bake in a little bit of recovery in the motion. And that's really the key is at the elite level, you don't get anybody that gets stopped, hands on knees, stopping, taking breathers. You just find ways to bake into the recovery inside the movement where you just, like this, he's doing a yank, walk, walk, yank, walk, walk. That's how they're doing it. Josh is moving really well. These guys are doing great in the battle. So it seems like there's a clear separation. There's got Josh, and then you have a handful of guys chasing after him on that. And again, you can see some guys going to an arm lock for just a little bit of comfort because sometimes it can feel restrictive to be locked over the sled. But really you want to, ultimately, if you're driving really well, you kind of just have your shoulders pressed in on that. Nick is far and away, he's flying. And you can see, look how much rest he's breaking. You can already see that he's recovering on it. And there it is, he's off in transition. And again, no rush, no hustle, really in control. But look how quick he's back into his rhythm, man. He's moving really, really great. So he's at, you know, 28 minutes on this. So this isn't going to be top level performance for him. You know, he's fast enough that, think about this, that he's already finished races in this kind of speed. So it's early on. He's going to put in his fastest times later in the year. The World Championship is November. I bet you he's only done a micro taper on this. And let's see, Colin put in, yeah, and you can just see a brute like Colin put in 10 seconds into Nick. You know, and Nick was obviously baking in some rest into his pulls on that. He was obviously baking in some rest on that, but Colin put 10 seconds in on him. And I think that Colin's really done some damage on this, and he's leaving Mark far behind. So he's putting in a really good time. I think the possibility of those guys, you going deep under 33. I don't know if that seems possible. So these are still early season times where guys are getting reps. They're competing. I mean, they're competitors. They want to go in there. They want to bang heads. They want to set a time. You don't know if you're going to get sick or injured or some life thing's going to happen and you can't compete later. So you still want to post a time that's going to put you towards championship qualifications on that. Yeah, Mark's got some challenges. Mark really had a challenging sled pull on that. And so, I mean, he's still flying. He's still putting in a great time. He still definitely looks like he's got the podium in front of him. But I think, Colin really did the damage. A big guy like that really did some damage as we got into the strength portion of this, and you go in, you really do high velocity, high agility work. And then you hit a wall of strength tests. And you got right now, so some burpees on this. Nick has already got started on this. So the key on these things, the qualifications on this is full lock of knee and hip. And then as long as you get clearance over the ram burpee over the top of your head, you're fine. And what you're really looking for if he was attacking, I don't think Nick's attacking these things, is you get a body whip. So you bounce the ram off your hips and snap it over the top of your head. And what you'll see is the body will whip. So your chest you want to drop and bounce your chest on the ground, flick your legs out, and then snap your legs back. And then as you stand, it's like a clean and jerk where you lift the hips and then bounce it off the top. And then look at that. Colin's got in and he's going to rip. He looked aggressive to those burpees. And so, see, these guys aren't really pressing that hard. And to be honest, I don't think that the technique is really there yet. They haven't really refined it. What you don't want to do is for anybody that's new to this, you want to see that whip that Nick's got going where he stands and then snap whips it over the top. That's efficiency. I think a guy like Colin that's just so strong, he's just strict pressing it over the top. Let's see how Mark does it. A little flick. Yeah, and he's got a little whip. So I think these guys are just really, really, really tired. And there's Nick crossing the top of this thing, and he just went through. Obviously dug deep to put it together, but I think there's a level of sharpness and crispness that's still to come from these guys. It's early on, and I think that there's still a level of sharpness and crispness to come. I've been really, really impressed with seeing the strength. I think a guy like Colin's got a lot to go. This is a guy that's obviously so physically strong, and I think there's mechanical efficiency to go for this guy to get that faster and faster as it is. I think he's brute forcing his way through it. And look at Josh. Josh is in there snapping through some burpees on these things. And I think he's clearly separated himself from the chase pack, and he's going to secure himself a top 5. He's doing great. So that little hip bounce, so I think Josh is doing the best. See that bounce off the ground, bounce off the hip? That's what you want a burpee to look like. And then it's just a matter of velocity. Just a matter of velocity. Look at that. And so you had some serious, that's incredible. So you had some at the very close of the event, you had some great burpee action where guys really secured their top 5 spots and their top podium spots. So it's really great, really great. I think a lot of people really closed those burpees really, really well on this. But what I think you saw was the dominant athlete of the day went out and laid it on. Dominant athlete of the day laid it on. And I think you see Austin there going in. He's ripping some good burpees at the very end. So I think what you saw today was you saw Nick go out and he just laid it on with his fitness. I think he ran a very measured race. He took a lot of recovery on the sleds. He did the burpees in a very measured level. He was in complete control on the wall balls. He was at complete control on the box. He actually banged the sit-ups really, really fast. And, he went through the carries super efficiently. This was a guy that his base level performance. So have the women already started this race? I think it looks like. Yeah, so it looks like the women have already started in on this, and they've overlapped the races on that. And so sorry for not having the start of this right here. But what you have in the center of your screen, you have Tara Jackson on the center of your screen, and they've already gotten rolling through this. And she's already, you can see how efficiently she's really rolling on this. And she's going to get off the erg way faster than the rest of the field on this. And that's what you expect from one of the top DEKA athletes in the world. And she is the class of the day. And you have Christy and Megan are tight on her on this. But you saw she just put in a top level row. And I think world-class rows for women are going to be, they're going to pull under 205. And you could see that her whole transition, she was out of there in 205. So she's on a really fast time right now. And I actually think that the exciting part of this race is that it's a lot of local women from Tennessee. You have 5 women from Tennessee that are all local here, and it's a Southern affair. It's a lot of North Carolina and Tennessee in this field. And I think that these guys are going to be battling for local credit, like they're going to want to have bragging rights on that. They may know who each other are already from some marks, and they're going to want to go out and prove themselves to each other. And it's a great chance for them at an elite level to see how far up the leaderboard they can post a great time. I think that it's just going to be, Tara is going to be away. I don't think she's thinking about any other human being in the building. She is just going to be out there to post a world-class time for herself and really establish the leaderboard. And there she is, she's running away already on this. She looks super crisp, super fast. Look at that turnover. She looks incredible. Look at how fluid and sharp her elbows and shoulders are moving. She's gone. It's lights out speed. Without a doubt, you should be signing her up for Picture of the Year because she's obviously top gun here. And we'll get a little sense of how the rest of the field that she's up against is panning out on this. She looks unstoppable. Again, the first part of these races, very, very crisp. It favors a lot of speed and agility. So I think on her step overs on this, I think that there's a little bit of, again, this is an agility test. The box moves a little. It's difficult to get your bearings on it. You have to be really balanced through it. You can see how efficient. She's got a little bit of that DEKA hop to it. I think as she gets sharpened up, as the race goes on and she gets sharpened up throughout the season, that little hop's going to disappear and she's going to get a little bit more crisp off the ground. I think right now you can tell she is not pushing this at all. She is just in a rhythm, locking it up, and this is not where she's going to put in her time. She just wants to get in and out of this piece on that. Look how crisp that transition is. Hits the watch for her split, so she gets some tracking on that. And she's gone. I mean, lights out. This is a smash and grab. She's out, she's in and out of the bank in under 60 seconds. She's got bags of cash and she's heading out, and it's a cop chase behind her on this. So these athletes are going to be heading into the box. That's station 3 on this, and we're going to see the gap is going to be significant. Considering half this field might not crack 40, and she's the world record holder on this, and so it's going to be exciting to see what she can do. She's a competitor. Tara is an absolute competitor, and she trains world-class athletes like this just in any sport, MMA, whatever. You spend a lot of time training by yourself, getting ready for this. She knows what she's getting into, and we have second, third place right there. We're going to just get some markers on who those guys are and where they're at and what the time gaps might be. But we're looking at Tara's putting minutes into athletes as we're at right now. But the box step overs look real crisp from the chase pack. They look really crisp and efficient. People are getting up and over on that. You have a few athletes are already starting to get tired and they're starting to do walkovers over the top of the box, which is really smart and efficient. If you can start to feel that you're at that red line and you don't want to completely melt down, you can see the athletes at the top hand side right there. They're just doing step overs. Really smart, efficient way to keep moving. And there we go. We have our second athlete out of the field, and we're going to get a name marker on that as soon as they get the time codes posted up. And there's place 2 is up on that. Place 2 and 3 are out chasing Tara on that. But you look at Tara, she's snapping, bouncing off the ground. She looks absolutely motoring. She's not, she's well within her range right now. She just totally focused on posting the right time, testing herself, seeing what's going to, seeing where her fitness is at and what she's got. And so she's taking her time on transitions. Again, when you look at the wall balls here, The key is if you're tired, you're going to start baking in some rest. So if you've been over your limit, this is where you can kind of like hide and find some recovery. So if you've been over your limit, you'll take a little bit of a beat at the bottom there and bake in a little extra rest. If you feel like you're right on that red line, right where you want to be, you're going to just bounce off the bottom and bounce off the top. And if you look at Tara, that's what she's doing, right? She just kind of like unloads at the bottom for a sec, uses the ball to create some momentum on the way up. And look, see how she's driving with her lats and elbows just a bit? So she uses that, swings her up, uses the momentum of the ball, and then just a little bit of pop. And she's not trying to stay at the top for very long. If she was a little bit taller, she'd try to get her hands a little bit closer to the top of the ball so she can save her shoulders a little for the later events. But on this, minimum amount of time engaged, and there it is, in and out, clean, no rush, boop, hits the stats on that. And then you have Megan and Cindy are going to be coming in behind her. And we're going to see where, we're going to see where their time gaps are for this. But Tara in and out, and that was under a minute. So she's great. And again, look at how she's bouncing crisply off the floor. And the big thing that you want to see is what's the run cadence? Are they getting much slower than 160 RPMs? Are they going to be up near 180 RPMs? And so a big, strong athlete like Tara, looking at how crisp her leg is, how crisp her cadence is, how fast she's moving. I mean, she's motoring. She's going at the second half of this thing pretty fearlessly. And you can see with the arm action on that, hands are looking crisp through the sides on that. She's moving, and she's having to go right through the men's open field or age group fields on this, and hopefully people are giving her a little space on that. No signs of stopping. Again, this is still, I wouldn't even say that we're near the halfway point, but she's going to start to shine. She's going to start to shine. She's going to start to shine when it gets into the power side of this. And the ski is where you start to first see that. This is where you get to see some power displays on that, and I think Tara's going to probably be put in a pretty superior ski in these areas, and I think like I said, I think top level women will row at 148, 149, and I think top level women will ski at 204, 205, and Tara's going to be right there. And we have in the station now, you have Cindy and Megan are side by side on this. And so they're in a fierce battle for the podium, and it looks like they're getting joined. I'm going to find out who that fourth athlete is right now, but we have a podium battle right here. And early on in the race, if you're all in the same station, if you're all relatively in the same station and close to the same ret scheme on the sit-ups, you're plenty in it. You're plenty in the race, right? You're plenty in it. As long as you're not, coming in when someone else is leaving, you're probably okay. And if you look at Tara now, and you look at that, see, she's not even fully aggressively attacking right now. She's just getting into a good stroke rate. And I think Cindy got out of the stations behind him, and then I think Megan got out. So with only about a 4 or 5 second difference. So they're still well in it. So if you look at Tara, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a lat lock at the top. You're looking for a little bit of release and a lat lock at the top, and you're looking for body weight to drive down. Occasionally, athletes will use a little split stance. Sometimes it's more comfortable for them. If she were attacking, she would swing all the way up onto her toes at the top and then kind of jump and drop onto the cord. This is obviously a little bit of a measured performance right here. And I think you have I think this right now is, that was Megan in third place and Cindy's still in second, I believe. And they're in a pretty heated battle right now. And you can see that they're carrying quite a bit of fatigue, and that's a little bit of the difference between, top elite athletes. And then you have Christy. Martin is the one that got into fourth place. So you got a really good battle for the local battle for the podium on that going on between Megan, Cindy, and Christy. And so there's two exciting races to watch right now. You have Tara to see what really one of the best in the absolute world, and she's absolutely the class act of the day. And taking nothing away from Nick. I mean, Nick is obviously a fantastic athlete, but I mean, Tara's just world champ, world record holder. She is the best at this. And you're watching just how solid and confident her pulls are. You can really see how in command she is by the arms getting to full extension. She's getting lat lock, and then she's driving down using body weight to do that. And then as the arms come through on the flick at the bottom, you're seeing that she's starting to lift. She gets her chin back up. She is in total control of the station. And you're looking at the stroke rate on this looks to me kind of high, 35 or so, you know, and that's because she's getting near the end. She just spins the wheel, hits the watch. She gets her own lap times. And again, look at how fast and crisp she is on those transitions. Man, excellent. She is really on top of her hips. She's really driving. She's really level. And 214. So I would say all in all, you know, she's got more to go on that station. And I would say that total transition time of 214 is below what she's maximally capable of. You know, I think in a championship style performance, she'd be in and out of that station in 2:0 something, you know, and she would pull a lot more. But you could see she wasn't attacking the hell out of the ski erg on that. She was just putting in work. I think she's probably right now at just around threshold, you know, and she's just doing her work. And so you get the wheel going. And here we have Cindy holding on to second place. She just do that little bit of a tug before you get your body in. You just kind of do a couple high tugs to get the flywheel spinning. And then you can see right here diving in. And here's the difference, right? So if you look at the difference here, there's not a full body, and this is not taking anything away from Christy. She's a great athlete. Obviously, she's, you know, she's battling for second place in DEKA FIT right now. Here comes Megan. There seems to be about a 10-second difference. Tiny little tug. And what you can see is that, yeah, they're doing a great job of getting their full body in there. And now Cindy's starting to get, you know, a lat lock where she's starting to drive. But what you're really seeing is that they're kind of like collapsing over the top of the ski erg on this. And then you get a bit of an arm sweep on that, and that's for someone that's really giving a tug there to get the wheel started. Yeah, and so these athletes right here are still developing within the sport, still developing on their relationship with these machines, but they're obviously going super, super hard on this. They're a class act locally. Local class acts of the field, I mean, they're far and away, you know, moving on second and third place battle right here. And I think it's really great to see how hard and how aggressive they're battling head to head. And I can see that they're just not backing down on these things, which is really great, to see that local competition, and that they've just kind of said, hey, Tara's on her own league, and I'm here to win the local champs, you know, the local championships. And I think we're going to see the podium battle is probably going to be the most exciting thing for the day. On our main camera right now, we're going to see that Tara is just, you know, she's got a little bit of a slump to the dumbbell, which is you kind of let the back of the dumbbell kind of hit against your palm, and that kind of provides a little fulcrum and allows you to, like, it secures the dumbbell so it doesn't jiggle around or move too much, and lets you just kind of zip through that thing. She's using a traditional grip where you're just going down and grabbing it because she's so damn strong. And obviously, if you can use a hook grip where you put your thumb down first and then clamp your fingers over the top of your thumb and then let the dumbbell rest on the back of your wrist, that's the most secure way to do it. You're not allowed to use tape or spray or chalk or anything like that. So you just got to do it on sheer grip strength. And you can see in the split screen right now, Tara smashing. I mean, she's just rolling fantastically through this. And again, that's a great carry. That's a super fast carry. And then you got, so that's crazy. You just had Marissa, Cindy, and Megan are all out, and you have Cindy and Megan and Cindy are just banging head to head along with Christy. Christy made up some real ground on the skier on that. She took about 3 seconds out of those guys on that station, and so you're just starting to see some FIPR separators. And if you look at the run now, these guys are starting to grind, which is really good competition. So this is now starting to become a guts battle for the podium between Christy, Megan, and Cindy. And they're only about, 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds apart separating the podium. In my opinion, this is the exciting race of the day, is watching those guys bang it out. And you're really getting to see two things. You're seeing like what basically a world-class time trial looks like, with Tara rolling away at the front. She's still, look at her, just popping off the ground and rolling through it. And if you look at the second battle right here specifically between, you can see Cindy and Megan are just just bashing head to head the whole way through this thing, man. and they are just not going to back down from each other. And it's real exciting when you can just see your competitor. If you're, if right now, if you're Cindy in second place, you just know, hey, they're coming for me. You can see them in the stations when they come. It's not hidden. When you're out here on the run, you just got to do your job and get it on. And then, for Megan, she just got to say every time she comes out of the station, you can't be demoralized by someone getting out of the station beforehand. You just have to look up on the run and try to do 1 second on the run, 1 second on the station. And if you look at Tara come in on the bike now, man, she's starting to feel it. So it's early seasons for Tara, on this. You could see her just get rolling on the bike. And, I think top level women, when she's at her best, she's going to push 650, 670 watts on that bike. She's going to really ape that bike and do some damage. Right here, this to me looks like Tara in early season fitness, right? So she's parked it at a number that she knows she can sustain, and she's not trying to make gains on this bike. You can see where she's got a little bit of a rock. When you go from hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder, and you put a little bit of a rock, that's someone that's not parked with their sit bones on the bike driving for watts. That's someone that's managing the effort on this. That doesn't mean she's not going hard, but she's looked down. She just picked a number that she knows she can maintain. She said, I know I can ride 500 watts. Or she's looked at cadence and said, I can push 68 RPMs. And she knows from her training from bike sessions that this is a doable number that I can park it at. And it's going to hurt and it's going to work and all those things, but I'm not going to bake myself or have to or really smash my legs on it. And you can just see how that, you can look how even and consistent she is on that. And really, if we switch back now and we're looking at the battle on this other side, you have a great battle between Cindy, Megan, and Christy here. And it stayed locked, but I would still say that Megan's pulled back 1, 2, 3, there it is. She's pulling back a second on each station. And look at that. And Christy's pulled back a second on that. I mean, you have a hell of a battle. I am not going to rule Christy out of a podium on this because, again, if you want to think about the bike as a hill in the race, right? It's a hill in the race. So as it switches after, the ski is the first test of power really that you get, and then it transitions on over to the strength side of the race where it goes from speed and agility to strength and endurance. The carry is strength, and then the bike is the first big cracker of real strength on this. So you have, so I think you can get major, I think it's going to be a nuclear warfare. It's going to be nuclear warfare on the bike right now between Cindy, Megan, and Christy. I'm really, really excited to see that. And I'm stoked that our OCR report team is able to give us the camera switches between these things so we can follow both races. If you love the action today, make sure that you subscribe to the OCR report on YouTube, you follow on Instagram. This is an entirely member-supported event, in the broadcast, not the event, the broadcast is entirely member-supported. So your donations and your membership on Instagram is going to help keep coverage throughout the year so you can see this incredible athletes like Tara Jackson all year. I'm inspired by seeing what she's doing on her own like this. She's risen to the moment like world champs do. And then you can see here Megan, Cindy, and Christy, all looking great. Molly Akers, man, just came out of nowhere on this and really made it a close station battle. So now we have Christy, Molly, Cindy, Megan all in it. And again, those types of late transitions, those types of late kind of race swaps are very common in DEKA because, again, it's so fast at the start of these races. It's so fast at the start of these races that you can get really baited into going out over your head and not notice until you hit the ski, right? Not notice until you hit the ski and you're like, wow, I can't pull this thing. And then really on the carry, all of a sudden you have to really take the recovery on the carry. So here's what we're looking for Tara. Again, you want to just see efficiency on this. This is at the world-class level. You can't beat anybody on the wall balls here. You can't do anything on the ball on the chuck, but you can fall asleep if you're really tired. And we saw it happen on the men's side. We saw it just happen on the men's side that you can fall asleep in the ball here. and you can just start to get lazy and tired and not stay crisp. And what you want is 4 steps. So someone that's in command is that the ball passes, either touches the top and goes over, or is just a clean drop, and that there's taking 4 steps clean. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Over, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you look at Tara, and this is what you want it to look like, really crisp. And when you lift the ball, you don't lift the ball away from you. You lift it towards your hips, tight to your body, so you're using bigger, stronger muscles. The further away the ball gets from you, the more you're using shoulder and back strength and having to balance something. If I said hold this heavy thing, you wouldn't hold it with your arms outstretched. You'd hold it in. If I said carry these groceries, you wouldn't extend. You'd hold them to your side. So that's what you're learning from Tara Jackson when you see this. She keeps heavy things tight to her body, tight and close. And she just was super efficient on that. No stress, no hustle. You know, just kind of banged it out crisp, and she's getting it done. She didn't want any transition damage, right? So she was saying, I actually think that she was recovering on those, and then you can see how aggressively she hit the run right now. So now she's feeling good. This is clearly an athlete that feels excellent, you know, and look at how hard she's pushing. Her stride's opening up. Her cadence is really crisp. And that's really what you just saw happen. She was settling somewhere on the ski. On the ski, you could see that she was starting to feel her early pace and was settling a bit. On the carry, she didn't push super hard. You could see that she was managing the bike a bit. She just parked it at a threshold, and then she just used the wall balls right there to the carryover, and through simple mechanics, it looks like she got settled, and she is attacking this run. And of course, now you're in the closing of the race. You're in the time makers right now. So she's pushing fearlessly to get to the tank on this, and she is not afraid of that tank. And she's a super strong late charger. This is how she did it in the World Championships last year. She came from way behind on the World Champs and just stormed through the second half of the field. And really, when it got to the bike, she did serious damage on the bike and then rolled off. And then she was just a late closer. And so she's using she's using her strength, she's using her fitness to do that. And also psychologically, I think she probably likes to come on really hard and straight. She thinks to herself, I am a big, strong athlete, and in the strength portion of this, I'm going to do my damage. And that's how she's got programmed, and we're going to see her continue to do that. And she hasn't changed at all. Whether she's surrounded by competitors, whether she's motoring through a field, or whether she's out on a day in the office on her own, Tara Jackson knows what she does well, and she goes after it confidently. Man, it's just inspiring. It's inspiring to see her go out and do this all by herself. It's just her and the clock and what she knows she needs to do to be ready for the World Championships. And she's saying, hey, I invested the time to drive out here. I invested the time to enter this race. I invested the time to get emotionally and physically ready to do this. Who knows where she's at in her training, but it's going to be early season. But she invested in herself, and then she's going to cash in on that investment. She's going to make withdrawals and try to put in and push herself, regardless of what her time is. Regardless of how good or slow or fast her time is compared to her world record, she wants an honest benchmark of where she's at, and she wants a sensations benchmark. How did I feel about that? How did I manage it mentally? Was I positive? Was I aggressive? What was my self-talk like? Did I make adjustments? And you could see she put in, that's what the best in the business does. You could see how she made a tactical assessment on the bike to not grind on that, and then to not melt down, right? To not melt down on the bike, but to hit an even strong rhythm that she picked a number she could hit. And then she got out of that bike, and she didn't have, she didn't have sandbag legs when she came out of that. And then she used the run to like basically try to settle again. And by the time she got to the wall ball, she started to like level off her control levels, level off her breathing. Wherever she was at with her threshold and VO2, she really leveled that off. And then you could see she poured it on with the run. And here she is back on top, pushing the sleds really hard. And like we talked about in the men's race, the most efficient way technically to do this is to lock your shoulders against the sled and to drive with a quick cadence, not a slow cadence on the sled. And then it's to do a couple steps and a tug the way that she's doing it. So step, step, ski, step, step, ski. That combined workload is how the sled is most efficient. Occasionally you will get athletes doing what Tara's doing now, which is a shoulder lock, Sometimes this can be more comfortable breathing, and sometimes it can be more comfortable to take some pressure and to drive it into other parts of your body on that. That's not maybe mechanically as efficiently, but world-class athletes in DEKA will often do that, and they'll do a full shoulder lock on that because they feel more comfortable. And you can see Tara went through that without breaking, without stopping. She just kept the groove on. She picked the pace, and really you could tell how fast and crisp she was on that. And then look at that. When she came out, there was zero transition into her run. I mean, she just laid it on. I mean, she came to a kicking contest and there was butts and boots, and she said, I'm going to be the boot today. And man, she rolled it out. I mean, she is hammering the second half of this run. Look at how much extension she's getting. Look how much power she's getting. Obviously carrying some fatigue. It's not like she's not working hard. But man, she is motoring through these fields. Look at that cadence. Look at how crisp and fast she is. She's one of the best in the game. I mean, besides, I would say, you know, when you're looking at Ryan Shadegg, you're looking at Hunter McIntyre, you're looking at Tara Jackson. Those are really, really, really tops in the field at this type of thing. I think, you know, the only other person that she really has close to her on this is Lauren Weeks and Alondra Greenlee are really the only ones that are really seem like they're going to be at her level this year. I mean, Tara's still, she's obviously got a little fitness to go. She's obviously got some places, but I mean, come on, guys, it's, you know, I mean, it's March and World Champs are in November. So you do want to post some times early so you can get in. But if you're, you know, as long as you got someone like Tara, as long as she's got a top 5, top 6, you know, she's going to set the world mark right now. She's the first big gun of the year to go out. She's fearlessly going to set a mark that, you know, Laura's going to have to go out and chase to get. You know, she's not going to be stressed about being top ranked going into worlds. But, you know, you want to, you know, for your own sake, have a great time that she knows that. So she's just got into the last station. So we're going to just see where she's at on how crisp she is. She does something that's a little different. So now the absolute attack mode on burpees is that your feet kick out wide and they snap to the top, and then you bounce the ram off your hips and shoulder snap it over your head. And that's really what the fastest way is to do that. Tara's does something that's a little different. She does a step-up burpee, which is, you know, something that you might see in high rocks, or occasionally you'll see something like that in CrossFit where you have super high quantities of burpees. And the step-up version traditionally is a little bit more of a management movement because it's not as explosive. But Tara really, really works on this, and her technique for this, because she is so physically strong, is she just steps to stand and then she does a little snap. So you can see that there's a little snap, bang, off of her knee a little, and then she uses a shoulder whip. What you're trying to not do on these strength exercises is you're trying to not use your muscles the entire time, and you're trying to use momentum. So for something like this ram, you want to flick your hips, you want to use your momentum and your body weight to flick the weight through the air and snap it over your head and then snap it back down. What Tara has is her own style of super efficiency, and like the step overs on that, she's got a special efficiency on it that obviously lets her park some really good times on these things. And so this was obviously a world-class time that she posted for the day. She's definitely fatigued. You know, she wasn't walking around high-fiving anybody. You know, she's, you know, right now she's doing, you know, the floor podium on this. That was definitely a hard effort for her on this. I would say it's a day at the office where she really just wanted to see what it was capable to put it in under performance circumstances. She knew that she was the class of the field and it wouldn't be a head-to-head battle. My guess is she's probably glad there was no one else there. That was really, really tight, you know, maybe on a day like this where she can just like really focus on herself, push as hard as she can physically, and just really see where the numbers are at for her. She had all of her splits marked. She's going to go back and look at the data and just say this. It's not going to affect her training. She's not going to do more or less of anything else. She's got her program to bring her on to peak performances. She's got her program to bring her on for the World Champs. But she's just going to compare the data to where she's at. So let's look back at where the race behind is unfolding between Molly, Maggie, Christy, and Cindy for this. And you have a four-way battle right now for this. And really you're seeing, it's crazy, but you're seeing Molly, so you see Christy and Molly right now are really deep into the sled pushes right now. And they're grinding along for these things. I think these athletes still look really good. and it looks like I might have these wrong, but maybe it's Molly Cindy, and I'm sorry if I got those names wrong. Um, it's difficult to keep up with the transitions between these and following these really great local athletes, so I'm trying to get those correct. Apologies if I got the local athletes' names mixed up on this, but you really have a great two-way battle. If I look at these two athletes right now going on that I think are Cindy Molly, you can see that they're really in control of this. They've got a great cadence driving this. I think there's a little bit of a surprise move on that where I think Cindy has opted to just directly grab the sled with her hands on that and not use the rope. That doesn't give her the ability to do like a snap tug where you can kind of jerk the rope and move the sled and give your legs a little bit of a break. That means you have to constantly stay on the legs as you're pulling. And she's using a full shoulder drive, which again, full shoulder drive is not the most mechanically efficient way to do it, but a lot of top level athletes will use a shoulder drive on this. I think the other mechanical disadvantage to not using the TRX ropes on these things is that you can't get a full foot drive on these. You're kind of so close to the sled that you can't get a full foot drive as you drive back. She's done the right thing, where I think where the traditional technique is that you pick up the grips, you hold on to the grips, and then you just push through and through the grips. And look at that. I think that's Molly that's set out. And again, these types of big transitions where you see where you see people go from, yeah, that's Molly Akers. That's what you see in DEKA. Where the strength side of it really creates some big separations. And if people are blowing up, you get found out on the bike and you get found out on the tank. And you saw Molly just work her way through the field when you got into the second half, and she did big damage on the bike. But really, it seems like from the splits on the day that she out hustled on the wall ball, which is pretty incredible. And then on the tank, she just rolled away on the tank. She's definitely in survival mode on this run right now. You can tell she's not breaking down, but you know, her time to push, she's having some difficulty pushing right now. And so that's just a testament to her toughness and guts. Because this is obviously a big, strong athlete that is just grinding it out. And she's going to win the Tennessee World Championships. And she's not slowing down. She's not in like a death march shuffle. You know, Molly is just trucking it along. She's doing what she is, and she's just digging into the well of fitness that she has on that. And look at that, you know, all smiles. It's probably really fun for her as an athlete. This is maybe one of the first few times that she's been on camera and had a chance to be at the pointy end of the race, and she's going to get second. She's going to share a podium with Tara Jackson. I don't care who you are, that's saying something. That's something that she's going to talk about. She's going to be, you know, she's going to go back to her home gym and she's going to get a standing ovation at the next workout that she does. I'm sure her Instagram DMs are going to blow up after this with her coaches and friends and family are all going to be super proud of her for this. She should be smiles. She's got the power ponytails rocking for the day. And maybe that's going to be a signature move for her coming forward, but it is a big deal podiuming these DEKA fits. It is a big physical commitment to that. And look at that. I mean, she's grinding. She's got hands on hips. She is hurting. So she's putting, this is a gutsy, gritty performance on that. And like you said, like we said, she's got no break in mechanics, no stops on that. She's just grinding through. She's taking a few seconds of walk transition on the burpee. And that was the first real recovery we saw her take, as she would take full breaths. And now she knows that she's got a podium right in front of her. And her burpees are looking really great. Yeah, so she's got no struggle on that. So she's got a snap transition to her feet are wide, and you can look and see how she's using a little bit of a hip bounce, and see how there's that nice crisp snap where the momentum of the ram is floating over the top of her head, and then she's bouncing back. This is a woman in total control right now, and there will be no breakdowns. There will be no third place heroics taking that podium, that second spot from her. And she should be super stoked on this. And like I said, you know, her gym's going to be stoked. And I think, you know, you're going to go and look at the results from this thing, and you're going to see Tara Jackson, and then you're going to see Molly Akers, and that's going to be pretty amazing. That's going to be pretty amazing for her to see that. A little slowing right now, but I mean, she's been scraping the barrel for energy. Yeah, that was a pretty tough struggle right there. She's inchworming off of that. And then you got Cindy coming in second, and second into the station on this for her podium, and she looks far and away on the podium. But really, really got to say congratulations to Molly Akers. She's going to go back to Murfreesboro, local hero on this, and absolutely should be proud of that performance. Great time she posted for the day. And, you know, she was smiling out on the course. She knew she'd done a great job and that she had put in a podium performance. And then she really got it done on the back half on this. And we really didn't see her move through the ski at all. And then we didn't really see any damage done on the carry. I didn't really think that she had definitely come into it on the carry. But I was surprised to see how much damage she had done later. So super stoked for her to have a really pour on performance. It takes a lot of guts to do that. And here we have Cindy. I think it's Cindy still cranking through these things. Hope I got those names right. Sorry, ladies, for the locals. It's a little bit of a difficulty. Not used to you guys' just meeting you guys for the first time today. But we do know that the top battle for the podiums has been Molly, Megan, Cindy, and Christy. And so this is, I think it's Cindy that's been in first on the teal on the right-hand side. And then I think that's Megan on that. And so we're going to get the result. Yeah, so that was Megan. So sorry about that. So that was Megan the whole time. Really sorry about that. And that was Megan, who's been battling in second and third the whole day. And so she's been in podium contention the entire day and did not back down. And she's been second or third through almost all of the stations. So she had a super consistent roll throughout the entire day and just grounded out on this. And that's, you know, she's got a 16:16 DEKA strong, which is a really good strong time. And you know, she just knew she had to hustle through that. And that photo right there, you know, these two local heroes getting a photo with the best in the world for Tara Jackson on that. I mean, that's going to be something that they should be posting up. You should see that all over the gram after this. It's pretty cool. And then here we get our battle for fifth place. And it looks like we're going to get Cindy and Christy really separated themselves from the rest of the field. And I think that's Cindy that's just finishing up right now. I hope I got fingers crossed for getting the names right. Let's see if I won the MC lottery. Yes, that was Cindy, which means Christy's going to close up. And she did a great job of getting herself back into it because it was not that close, you know, early on. And then the second half, the back half, the strength half of the field, you can do that. And then, so you can see she's got a really great mechanical efficiency on that, pops it on up, and that's a big, strong athlete that knows how to move that ram. And that's a heck of a battle on that. Look how tight those guys were throughout the whole piece. And you had, you know, Molly posting 40, you got Megan posting 42, you know, and I think, you know, Marissa probably is going to be around these times soon, but I would say, you know, 40, 42, that's probably going to put those guys, you know, if you look at 34, if you look at Tara Jackson at 34, this is a crisp performance, but not her absolute best. You know, world record holder at 32:44. She's a minute and a half off, which is still, you know, that's still flying. And that's going to be top time of the years for sure. That's going to be top time of the year for sure for right now. Molly at 40, that's going to be, you know, well into the tops of the year. Megan at 42 is going to be high up. So these are going to be high marks for the year, and these are going to be standards for a bit. I think for the women, I think by the time you get around World Champs, I think the top 5 are going to be under 35. They're going to be under 35 minutes for that. And so let's see if we can't get some comparisons for you guys on how fast. So if you look at the first race of the year, If you look at the first race of the year over in Austin, you had Alexander Walker was at 35:48 for the first race, and then Tara just, she put her on notice. She was down there at low 34s for that, 34:04. I mean, that's motoring. That's motoring, and I think Tara has more to give. I think Tara has more to give on that. She was absolutely motoring. I mean, I think she had a lot more to give on the ski. She had a lot more to give on the bike. I think her run was absolutely stellar. I think everything was really stellar up to that point. I think she has more to give on the ski, more to give on the bike. I thought her tank was great. I thought her ball was well managed. I thought her carry, she probably pushed the carry about as fast as you'd want to. And I think she has more to do on that. So I think she's got another minute on her. She's going to be facing her and Alexandra Walker are going to be the top times of the year. And then you're going to have Kerry Nakuda and Holly Meyer are all up there, and Leslie Hackett are under 40. And then you have Leslie Murray at 41. So I think today you just saw Molly Eckers put in, a top 10 time in the world right now. She's at 40. She's knocking on the door, really. She's only a minute away. You can do that this year. You can put in a minute. So Molly can put in a minute and get under 40, and that's going to make her, in the discussion of getting in there. And I think really you got to be, you really have to be, you really got to be under 36 if you want to go to Worlds. But it's exciting to see these things. And I think local athlete getting close to cracking 40 point something, that's really exciting. Yeah, and then Marissa just put in a 45. So Marissa, Marissa put in a 45. Marissa put in 45 minutes for this, and that's a little under her best. She put in a 41:52. She's had 41:52, so it's a little under her best. So who knows, these aren't full-time professionals, so who knows where she's at with their training, where she's at with their season preparation. You can just have a tough life week for some of these local athletes, and it can make it difficult on that. But she obviously fought it out. I was really, really excited and impressed to see the entire thing, to see that battle there. I think Molly was the big story for the day. I think if you look at Molly, she really came on late and moved her way through the field. Really impressive on that. And then Tara Jackson only being about 40 to 50 seconds off, 40 to 50 seconds off of her top times is really, she's put the world on notice. And I think really the biggest difference that you're going to see is she put almost 2 minutes into Alexandra Walker. She put almost 2 minutes into Alexandra Walker, and that's, Alexandra Walker is top 10 in the world. Alexandra Walker can do 35:09, 35:10, so Alexandra is only, right now, early in the year, only 50 seconds off her last season's best time, and Tara put in nearly 2 minutes on that, and when you look at what Tara was really doing, like I said, I think Tara has more to give on the ski. I think she has a lot more to give on the bike. She was in threshold management mode on the bike, giving herself a little bit of a rhythm rock on that. I think she can still push more. So wow. World look out for Tara. I mean, just world look out for Tara. She's on a rip. Men's side, I want to say Nick was far and away. He just took off. I was really impressed by, Austin really used his strength to come on and secure a top 5, but I was really impressed by Colin. Colin put in a big mark. Sub 32 is a discussion point on this. Joshua added in another great mark. These are guys that have previously, I think Colin, let's see where the qualifying standards are on this. And I think big day for Colin. That's a huge mark for him. It translates well. He's got a 1940 DEKA mile, and so he's obviously, you know, out came to push on like that. And sub 32 is moving. I think if you want to talk world championships, if you're going to win a world championships, you got to be under 30 at some point before that. 2 minutes to go is fairly steep ask for the year, you know, fairly steep ask, but who knows where they're in that. These guys are most likely a bit and still in their base training on these things. So very impressive by Colin, very impressive by Colin, and I'm going to look to see more from him. Josh Gonzalez, you know, I think he's right around where he's at. This is on par for him. He's, you know, he's put in 33:32. This is 33:35. So he's wherever he's at is where he's at. So he from here to Austin. He hasn't made any time improvements, but it doesn't mean he's not refining technique or making fitness breakthroughs in training. Josh is still in the overall discussion. Again, these guys got to be, you know, you got to be under 32 to get in the World Championships discussion in there. And then, of course, Nick just blew the doors off. You know, he just came out and rolled it, and that's what he looked like. I think it was extremely measured on that. This is his fitness was shining. His run was in complete control. He literally ran away from him on the day. And so I think it's today looked a lot like we thought it would. I think the big discussion was Colin. I think Colin was the big breakthrough on the day, and let's look to see, you know, what Colin is going to continue to do this year. Very exciting. So from the OCR report today, hope you guys really enjoyed the coverage on this. I think it was really excellent racing. The next race is going to be NorCal, April 1st. You're going to see it here live on the OCR report. On April 4th, you're going to see NorCal. We're going to see if some of the bigger guns come out. I think we'll see if Shadag makes an appearance. We're going to see if Anas Zahori comes up from SoCal. We're going to see if Ryan Kent gets involved. We're going to see if some big guns come out to compete with Nicholas Riker on this. And again, I think it's exciting to see, hey man, we're going to see Collins continue to make steps forward this year. Looks like this young man is committed to the season. Really exciting. And then again, on the women's side, let's see who's going to come up. And if we're going to see if Tara's going to make another appearance on that. We're going to see if Lauren Weeks makes an appearance in NorCal on April 1st and gives Tara a run for her money on that. And if Bridget Brown gets involved, or Vivian, or any of the other top ladies. My name was Steve M. Cullen. You can ask me questions at Faster Days on Instagram. It's been an honor and pleasure to spend some time with you today on the OCR report. The OCR report is the best coverage of hybrid and OCR racing in the world. If you love the sport, subscribe on YouTube, hop on Instagram. It is entirely member funded. And we appreciate your commitment to that. And if you love the racing and love the sport, give us a follow, give us a join, contribute to the community, and help grow this wonderful sport. Thank you so much. Loved my time with you guys. And I'll be signing off now for this. Thanks so much.